Hey there guys, this is Invader and welcome to another one of my reviews. It's always a huge pleasure and a privilege having you all tune in to watch my content. This is my review for Destroy All Humans Remake for Xbox One. This game was developed by Black Forest Games and published by THQ Nordic. Let's begin with the story, and the story itself is pretty interesting. You play as Cryptosporidium 137, Crypto for short. You find out that your race is having difficulties reproducing and that it's cloning itself out of existence. You're tasked with acquiring pure Furon DNA found in human brains. Along with attempting to conquer the Earth, you'll be trying to find out what happened to the previous Crypto clone. He was captured by the US Army at the start of the game and brought the new Crypto into existence. Crypto makes it his own personal mission to try and find him, helping to fuel his destruction for the human race. So you go on your merry way to Earth, land in 1950s USA, and start exploring and acquiring intel before you start your invasion. As you're doing this, you're also being monitored by the Men in Black. Yes, the classic Men in Black associated with government alien secrets. They'll play a big part in the game, to say the least, as they're going to try at every turn to thwart your takeover. I really enjoyed the story as it plays out like a 1950s sci-fi B-movie. Very nostalgic in nature. You can easily tell what movies inspired this game. There's definitely some huge Earth versus the Flying Saucers vibes going on here, with missions taking place in small-town America, 2 army bases. There's some cheesy moments, and it's kind of simple, but overall I'm very appreciative of how the story progressed. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it still has a worthwhile narrative to get invested in. Moving on to the gameplay, and despite being 15 years old, it still holds up really well. Starting off with the weapons, your base weapon is the Zap-O-Matic. It continuously fires streams of electricity that slowly take away life. It's a weak weapon at first, but you can upgrade it to be more effective. Next up is the infamous Anal Probe. To this day, I still can't believe that they have this in the game, and I'm so glad it is. It's a hilarious weapon to use and useful for obtaining DNA. You also have the Disintegration Ray that fires bright bolts into enemies, turning them into ash and sunder. I'm a big fan of this weapon, as it's very useful against both humans and vehicles. There's also the Ion Detonator that acts like a remote detonator of sorts. It's a very powerful weapon that has a large blast radius. All these weapons that I'm speaking of, they can be upgraded for maximum efficiency using the DNA that you collect. I suggest doing so, as these weapons are quite useful and fun once you level them up. Also at your disposal is the iconic vehicle of classic sci-fi alien movies, the Flying Saucer. You can fly around and wreak all kinds of havoc with this sucker. You'll start off with the aptly named Death Ray. It shoots a stream of energy that can level mostly everything. It does tend to overheat though. You also have access to other weapons as you progress, such as the Sonic Boom, which sends out shockwaves to easily take out buildings and the like. Later on in your play, you'll get to access the Quantum Destructor. It causes a huge explosion that destroys basically everything in its path. You can upgrade all these weapons and some other abilities using collected DNA. I highly suggest spending the time upgrading the saucer. It's going to become very important towards the end of the game. With the saucer, you can also abduct humans, livestock, vehicles, and objects. It's a really fun mechanic, as now in the remake you can fling objects to cause more added destruction. This becomes handy, especially if you run out of ammo with certain weapons. That and the fact that it's just a really fun mechanic. Being a remake, there's a number of improvements and additions that have made its way into this version. It definitely brings with it many modernizations and upgrades. The controls have been reworked from the original version. For example, all psychic powers do not need to lock on to be used. The jetpack has also been overhauled and allows you to hover and glide for much longer. I mean, that is a nice perk of being an advanced alien race, right? As well, the Flying Saucer has seen a major overhaul in its controls, changing around button configurations, as well as adding abilities to the Abducto Beam, which, hey, that's a nice touch, I'll say. During your playthrough, you'll come across different forms of human enemies. You'll start off with farmers, then the police. You'll be quickly introduced to the army, and of course the Men in Black, Majestic. Majestic is a very aggressive group and also has Psi mutants to counter Furon psychic abilities. There are also a number of vehicle enemies. There's tanks, various turret-based weapons, and mech-like power suit soldiers. Most are fun to fight against, but the power suits will give you the most trouble in your battles. During your playthrough, you'll have a small list of mission types to choose from. Of course, you've got your standard story missions, but you also have different time challenges to complete for more Furon DNA. There's race challenges, abduction, Armageddon, and Rampage, and for the most part they're fun, but some can be rather tedious and time-consuming. You can tell that some of these missions or challenges are just there for some extra padding. Moving on to the visuals, this is probably the most defining aspect of the game. It has been completely redone visually, taking advantage of current-gen hardware, and man does it ever look good. You look at Crypto and there's just so much more detail on him. Everything looks exactly as it should, with a few more artistic details added in. The world environments are also very well done and quite striking. From farm ranges to small towns to army bases to large cities, this game just looks very good across the board. The lighting, colors, and characters stand out very vibrantly. My one big major gripe though is that some of the NPC models, they look a bit like a mannequin and rather plasticky, so I wish more attention to detail was placed there because something definitely seems off with the NPC models. Now as for the audio, I think it's actually really good. I gotta say I love the voice acting, everything seemed appropriate with the theme of the game.
Regiments 2 and 4, form up the main junction. 1 and 3, take the flank. Attack waves, target the infrastructure. I want those comm towers out of commission. Support waves, your task is simple. Destroy the communist insurgents holding the television station. No beet-eating, vodka-swilling, Trotskyite son of a bitch is gonna hijack this great nation's God-given airways. Not on my watch. Charge!
Granted, some lines can sound a bit over the top, however, I didn't feel like it was overdone. As well, NPCs, weapons, and vehicles all sounded pretty great during my playthrough. The soundtrack itself isn't very prevalent, which is a shame because I felt they could have had some fun with it. I wish the game had some 1950s music playing in the background at times. Otherwise, the audio is pretty good. My playthrough of Destroy All Humans took about 15 hours. Granted, I did put extra time into exploring mission areas and completing a bunch of extra challenges. Either way, you do get a decent bang for your buck when it comes to the gameplay. Alright fellas, now it's time to round up both the good and the bad aspects of the game, starting off with the good. Graphically, it's a really well done remake, the world looks great, the colors stand out, and there are some really nice details on most objects and models. The added abilities, perks, and controls are a nice upgrade to the game. They help to modernize the gameplay without breaking anything. I really shouldn't have to say this, but I'm delighted that the developer kept all the original dialogue in, which is awesome considering how much censorship there is in this day and age. The enhanced destruction is easily one of my favorite parts of the game. Explosions have lots of color, as do the particle effects, and it's just overall satisfying to watch. Whether it be small farmhouses or large city buildings, you'll never get bored of the explosions. Or even just seeing the death ray carve out destruction in the landscape, it's just a blast to watch. Also, the pricing is very good. I paid a bit over $40 Canadian for it, and I feel pretty satisfied with what I got. It's a well done remake and even includes a lost mission, more upgrades, and outfits for Crypto. Moving on to the bad aspects of the game, and while I give praise to how the developers remade the world, I wish that some more thought was put into the design of the NPCs. Some look okay, while others look plastic-like, almost like a mannequin out of the show Today's Special. Also, some of the missions haven't aged well, some are a bit dull, and could have been spruced up a bit. I really enjoyed my time with the remake for Destroy All Humans. For the most part, it has stood the test of time. The gameplay is fun, the dialogue is refreshing, and overall is a worthwhile experience that should grace every old-school sci-fi fan's game library. It could offer some more variety in mission types, but that won't stop you from having a good time with it. Overall, I give the remake for Destroy All Humans an 8.5 out of 10. I highly recommend you check this game out. What do you guys think of Destroy All Humans? Is this a game that you'd like to check out? Have you played through the original? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As well, if you happen to enjoy my review, then please consider leaving a like, sharing it out, and subscribing for more reviews and guides. Until next time, Invader, out.